Hello everyone, let me walk you through the pattern making process of how I achieved this built up with Queen Anne neckline. I'm going to be drafting the front and back pattern off camera, but I just wanted to state some things before I go ahead. Before you start making your pattern, at the tip of your paper, at the top area, you come down by 3 inches because we'll need this area to be able to draft our stand-up collar. But if you have a pattern already, it's also okay. You just need to add a plain pattern paper underneath. But this is just so that it's easier to draft. So you do this for both the front and the back. You come down by 3 inches and you are going to now start drafting your basic pattern from here. Then another thing I wanted to mention is for your neckline, it is because you're making a bit up collar, it is important for your neck measurement to be as accurate as possible. So one of the ways I make my neckline or determine my neckline width and depth is bust, you divide your bust by 12. Whatever that gives you is going to determine what your for the front is going to determine what your front width and your front depth is going to be. For me, my bust is 34. 34 divided by 12 will give me about 2.8, right? So for me, my neck width is going to be 2.8 inches. And the depth is going to also be 2.8. For the back, the width is going to be 2.8, but the neck depth is going to be 1 inch because we're working with the back. The back is usually not low. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and draft the rest of my basic pattern. Then we'll come back to work with the neck design for today. So here is my back pattern. The first thing we'll do now is to extend our neck width point. We are going to extend it up. We'll square up a line there like this. So here you are going to determine how high you want your built up collar to be. For me, I would use 1.5. You can use as much as 2 inches, but I don't think you should exceed 2 inches so that it's not too high, except you want it like really, really high. So 1 inch, 1.5 is like the smallest you can go. Then you can go up as high as 2 inches. And the next thing I'm going to do is to square up this line. Ensure that this is on a straight line. I'm also going to extend this. Now that I've done that, because our neckline sort of tapers down, like gets smaller the higher you go, except for if you have chunky neckline, you can leave it like this. But for most people, you are going to need to come in by 0.25 to 0.5 inch here. And then here you are going to come down by 0.5 inch like so, and then you're going to make your back neckline. So this is what we have at this point. Then you come to your shoulder line and you are going to come in by 0.5. This is just like a guide. Depending on the kind of curved ruler you have, it's going to determine how easy you'll be able to connect this. Connect like this, but there's still like a sharpness around this area. So I'll just come with my ruler to blend that in like this. Okay. So this way I have my back already done. I'm going to take this out so that I can add my allowances. So here would be the sewing allowance for my neckline. I like to go little by little like this so that I can follow the shape of the curves I have. So this is going to be my neckline. So if you are going to add sleeves to your pattern, you are all good at this point. You can decide to add whatever style of sleeve you want to. But if you're also going to make yours a sleeveless dress, Note, I have added sewing allowance to my armhole already. So you're going from your sewing allowance here, you're going to mark inwards 1 inch because you need your sleeveless top to sit properly on you. You're going to come in by 1 inch like so, and then you're going to follow the pattern of your armhole curve. So I'm going to come here and ensure that there is a continuity. So I can come from here, and then I would have something like this. So means I'm going to take out all of this. That's when you are making a sleeveless top. So this is going to be what my armhole, my new armhole is going to be. Now we'll move on to the front. So here's my front pattern, and at the point where you have your neck width, you're going to square up a line at that point like we did for the back as well. Then whatever you raise your back with, you're also going to raise your front. Remember, I raised my own back with 1.5 inches. You're going to do the same for the front. So I've gone ahead to raise by 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go in by 0.5 inch as well because I want my neckline to fit perfectly. So I'm going by 0.5 inch. And from here, I'm also going to mark inwards 0.5 inches, like similar to how we did the back. And then I'm going to connect this to this point. And I'm just going to go ahead to redefine the line so it follows through to this point line. Then the next thing we're going to focus on is the lower part, the depth of the neckline. For me, I'm going to be using the across chest as my guideline. Depending, you can determine how low you want your neckline to be. So when you determine that, you can make a line at that point. But for me, I'm going to be making use of my across chest line. What I'm going to do next is this line, this my dart line, this my waist dart line. I'm going to square this line all the way up. Now that that is done, like I mentioned, I'm going to be using this across chest as my neck depth. So whatever your own neck depth is, you're going to come to that line and mark 0.5 inch on both sides of this dart line because we are trying to tighten this area. If you don't do this, your neckline is going to gape, and that's the essence of doing this. So we're going to mark 0.5 on each side, and we're going to connect that back to our dart line here. So this way, we are sure that our neckline is not going to gape. So now the next thing I'm going to do is from this second dart line, I'm going to go inwards by 0.5 inch. And I'm going to connect that to my neckline here. Now that that is done, I'm going to come up by 1 inch from my neck depth. I'm going to come up by 1 inch like this. And then with my curve driller, I'm going to connect to my first dart line here. So this way, my neckline is done. So the reason I went in by 0.5 inch here is so that I'm able to join this place together and this one without any stress. So now if you're also making sleeveless like we did for the back, it's pretty much the same thing. You come in by 1 inch on your shoulder line here, come in by 1 inch and connect that to your existing armhole like this. So this way you no longer need this portion. And now you can add all your allowances. The one thing you can do is to measure your front and your back and be sure that the lines will match when you are sewing. Let's say for example, my front is longer than my back by 0.5 inch. You can go in here and take it out, or you can make up for it in the front. I hope you get what I'm saying. So basically measure your front and your back. If one is longer than the other, you can either add that excess to the short one or take out the excess from the one that is long. I hope you get that. So whichever one you prefer, you can, go on to do. One thing I also want to confirm is to be sure that when I'm sewing the front, when I'm sewing these two pieces, they are going to match properly. So I'm going to take this out and try to match both the front and the back. So I'm going to try to match the two sides. And this is how to do it. I'm going to fold my dart like this. So up to this point, I'm going to try to match and see if so yeah, there's no shortage. If there was a shortage, you go ahead and make up for it. So I'll cut this out and show you what this will look like. But before I do that, there are some sharp corners here. I'll just go on to redefine those, and then I'll cut it out. So when you're done cutting out, this is what you have. You just go on to add your sewing allowances to this part and determine what style you are going to make the base of your waist. Whether it's going to be a dress or a top. But yeah, this is what I have. And this brings us to the end of this tutorial. Thank you for joining me. Do well to like, subscribe if you haven't. Drop your comments and your questions in the chat box, and I will see you in the next video.